If you have a strong-willed child who really struggles to regulate their emotions every time you say the word no, every time you have to set a boundary that they don't like, if you have to take something away or tell them they can't have something, they really have a hard time with this, I want to offer you a little bit of a reframe that comes up a lot in my one-on-one coaching sessions, and it really helps my families anchor in and have a better understanding of how to respond to their kids in these moments. So what I normally find when I'm working with families is this: because our strong-willed kids are so good at pushing back against us, right? They have this real sort of ability to push against those boundaries and have really big explosive reactions. What starts to happen is the parents that I support will try something for a little. This is before we start working together. And then they'll assume, because of the bigness of their child's response, that it must not be working. So then they try something else. And then they might do that for a couple of times, and then they're going to try something else. So what this looks like is like maybe your child grows really dysregulated. So what you might try to do is talk to them and explain to them and explain why you set the boundary and work through it that way. But the more you do that to a strong-willed child, the more escalated they grow. As a result, you feel defeated and you're like, that's not working. So maybe next you're going to try being really firm, and maybe you're going to try being more traditional, and you might yell at them, or you might try to punish the tantrum to get them to stop. That results in more escalation. Same thing with you. You grow more escalated and that still doesn't work. So then you might try ignoring them, or then you might try to set a boundary and hold the boundary, and you might stay calm, but you do it for a couple of times and it's still so hard, and you're just telling yourself every time it's not working. So here is the challenge in what I'm describing. Because we keep changing our approach, because we are assuming that for something to work, quote unquote, means my child will just say okay or cooperate, what we start to do is every time our child is dysregulated, we tell ourselves, oh, that didn't work. And so we try something else and we try something else. Now, the result of this is, through the lens of your child, is that my environment and my caretakers don't respond to me in a consistent and predictable way. When we can create an environment that's consistent and predictable, our kids feel safer. They understand where the boundary is faster. When they feel safe, they learn to self-regulate much faster when they realize the outcome won't change, and they have to just tolerate the feelings that are coming up for them when they're in a situation that they don't like, right? So instead, what you want to do is choose a plan, stay consistent, stay predictable, and really work on keeping yourself calm and regulated. That is the hardest part. It's also key to helping your child anchor and feel safe. The safer our kids feel, the safer the faster they will work through that ability to regulate their emotions. I have 2 free workshops if you go to the link in my profile, where I teach you how to shift from being a reactive parent to a more responsive parent, and also another workshop on how to regulate your emotions as the parent. These are 2 really powerful practices. Once you get a handle on how to really anchor and stay calm yourself, staying consistent and predictable and holding that boundary does become easier, because your child will respond faster. Again, we just have to do it longer and not just throw in the towel so fast.